Hello and welcome to the Tech Lunch Podcast, where we encourage our listeners to learn something new about tech every week. This can range from learning about new and exciting applications to the advancements in coding and technology. If you are always learning, you will always be a step above the rest. Take the time during lunch or during a break to listen and learn, kind of like a lunch and learn, but for the ears. This podcast will open the listeners' ears to new and exciting technologies they may have not been privy to in the past. These topics will range from manufacturing technologies to data collection technologies and everything in between. Hello, I'm Nick.
Hey, I'm John.
Hello, I'm Ed.
And, this week we're going to continue down our 3D printing adventure rabbit hole. Black hole, depending on how you want to look at it. And we're going to, talk about the 3D printers, the 3D printing barriers to entry. Mind you, that cost, knowledge gaps.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of focus on certain ones of those during this round. And who knows, we may do, a couple episodes, right around the barriers of entry and going into the knowledge gaps and stuff like that. And, I think this time, knowledge gaps kind of sounds like an obvious freaking, touch base here. So, when you start thinking about, 3D printer knowledge gaps, or 3D printing knowledge gaps, I should say, because, the printer only does what you tell it to,
Exactly.
It's like a toaster oven with a little bit of wax and plastic, depending on if you think about it, look at all the sci-fi movies, they print it for you. So, it just really depends, you got the technology side of the house, you got the money side of the house, but most of the time it's the knowledge of what you're doing, type of thing. So, John, when we're thinking about that, what are you thinking about?
I actually, and I keep bringing it back up. My friend who is stepping in from a completely oblivious, he had no idea 3D printing. He thought it was like magic behind the curtain. And then me telling him that he could, do it himself if he just, purchased the first thing, jumped in and got that printer. He pushed me on a lot of things as far as questions that he had that, I didn't even consider when I got mine. We both started from the same vantage point, and we had different questions about how to get to the same endpoint. And I think that when we talk about the barrier to entry, that's, first that's like hobbyist, beginner, what is stopping me? I have the money, who can show me, what can show me, things like that, how I can make my printer tick, how can I get my printer back to printing right, because that first print from the manufacturer that comes with it is going to be perfect, and I can 100% guarantee you that, because it's got to be perfect, because that is how they quality check, and they make you do the test, so you quality check it, and then you convince yourself that everything's hunky-dory, and then you go slice something and nothing works. So that gap into getting your vision onto the printer bed is what I think about. To me, honestly, if you can, we'll get into AutoCAD in a second, because if you do that, your limit is your creativity. Yeah. In that sense. So for me, I'm thinking, what do I need to learn? Who do I need to talk to? What support do I need to ask for in order to get my first layer to stick? My overhangs are drooping. I need to look at that. I can't get the filament to extrude. It's not coming out, or God forbid, I caught it on fire, stuff like that.
Oops.
Please don't do that. If you caught it on fire, that means it didn't have anything to transfer the heat to, which means you ran out of filament and you didn't change it. Don't let it sit at temperature. Take it to zero.
Keep a fire extinguisher.
People
always
have
keep
caught
a
them
fire
on
extinguisher.
Yeah, there's actually something that you can get that you can mount inside if you have an enclosure, which at a certain point it'll hit if the enclosure hits a temperature you can I think it's 300 degrees, either Celsius or Fahrenheit. I can't remember.
Bro, I hope it's not Celsius.
No.
If it's Celsius, you're done. The whole thing's done, burned down. But no, it's designed to drop down, and it's like a smoke. They can suffocate your fire. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, we get back to safety.
One of those fire extinguisher grenades.
I'm just saying. I've never caught mine on fire, knock on wood, but there's been people who have caught their printer on fire. So
Yeah, we might know one of those stuff.
Yeah. So, all right, but what do you think about Nick when you're thinking now? Like, so you've printed before.
Yeah.
So, what would be your gap into maybe getting to an advanced or commercial or industrial printing, say quality or whatever you want?
You know, it's like when you think about it, you always start out small, trying to develop your own things using, Thingiverse and, and other online AutoCAD environments and stuff like that. It's more or less, I think, when you start thinking about it, I think it's just like the creativity is your biggest barrier to entry at that point, because you're trying to figure out, what do I do?
There's too many things to do.
Right, exactly. What do I do first? There's so many shiny things, and you just kind of want to play with that. It's not like, we're dealing with the whole, episode of Step Brothers where it's like, oh, look, we got more room. You don't have that problem anymore. But it's more or less like one of those things of where it's like time. Time is not always on, somebody's side. If you're married, kids, whatever, time is not always on the person's side. However, if you make time to play with the arts and crafts, get into it, kind of enjoy it type of thing, but I really think that's kind of your barriers that I see, especially the knowledge gaps. It's like, sometimes I don't know what to build there, but the other thing is like what filament to choose, what is this filament used for? What's the strengths of that? Who knows? We may do a YouTube video later actually testing the strengths of different filaments.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So we may end up playing with that. Stay tuned. We might see what we can do. But it's like, and the one person to understand, how the imagination runs wild. That what you can do, is Ed. He's got grandkids. The imagination is one of those things. If you can bottle that up and throw that into a computer, and you can start making things that pop into their brains, you would have a limited amount of things to do.
Oh yeah, and it's toys, man.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't say a big challenge, but I would say one of the challenges I see is that how do we get these 3D printers in the hands of the next generation? Yeah. How do we get these 3D printers in the hands of engineers or students that are trying to become engineers? Because for me, the biggest advantage, or I would say why you would want a 3D printer, is to be able to print out something that you modeled and test it.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you actually put it into production.
Yeah.
Another thing I would think is you have to be scientific when you're dealing with a 3D printer. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, I can have a model. Yes, I can make that into coordinates. Yes, I can make that into G-code. But how do I deal with, okay, I have a fluctuation in temperature. Mm-hmm. How do I deal with, hey, my bed is not level? You have to be able to identify and troubleshoot what these problems are, and it's not magic.
Right.
It's not like it was 100 years ago in superstition. If you walk on the ladder, you get bad luck.
Join the military, you'll start those superstitions with it.
So what I mean by that, you should be scientific in nature.
Yeah.
So how do I take somebody that's just a hobbyist and teach them how to be scientific? So what has to happen is they have to do research before they go and buy this thing or a printer. Like if I go buy a pellet grill, and I've always used a barrel grill with charcoal, it's a difference.
Right. Yeah.
It's a different temperature. It's a different way they work. Yeah. And one auto feeds, one doesn't auto feed. The air is different.
Time to cook.
Time to cook is different. Mm-hmm. So those are things I think are barriers.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'll tell you this. You got to be a tinker. I've printed before, and John can tell you, he gets kind of fed up with it though. That I'm probably one of those stuff who want to put more research into a purchase that I'm ever going to make, not because I enjoy it, it's because I'm cheap.
Hey, we're talking about getting you a printer for what has it been, 6 months now?
Hey, I got to do all my research, right?
He gets a new one every day.
I've got parts and always got one together.
He's almost built one before you decided.
It's the thing is, I think most of the time you got to be a tinker.
Yeah.
You got to have that joy and fiddling. And say this, like what you're talking about, bring them into the hands of everybody, is, got to bring back that want and desire to fiddle, to tinker, to, explore, that type of thing. I know how, we talk about, with me and Ed, we're kind of Star Trek fans. So it's like, the exploring, the next generation and stuff like that, as you go through the episodes and stuff like that. However, you need to be like that when it comes down to technology. Everything needs to be explored. Everything needs to be tinkered with. Everything needs to be pulled apart and put back together again. I'm, being an IT guy, especially, a hardware guy, hardware, software, hell, freaking, I still remember the old Unix boxes, Solaris, if you really want to go back to that.
AS400s.
Yep. We can go there. Don't think you want to. But, the thing is, it's like, for me, that want and desire to tinker. If you can take all that, the knowledge that you have in hardware and software and stuff like that, put it all together and make one hell of a product. However, that product's going to also cost you $1,500 or $1,600. Yeah. And I think that's another issue. I really do. Is the cost. Is one heck of a knowledge gap or barrier to entry. Why do they cost so much? And I think that is...
For quality.
For quality.
So, yeah.
You can buy an El Cheapo $99 one, and you're going to end up with, a barrel of freaking spool, and it ain't going to look right.
Yeah,
but
$50 one that is going to break in 10 minutes.
But let's think about this. Let's think about the question you brought up. Why does it cost so much? How many people spend $1,500 or $2,500 on a range? How many people spend $15,000, $20,000, $2,000 on a refrigerator with an LCD screen?
Just upgrade to a car that's already working.
So it does like cost, that. But let's weigh the value of a refrigerator to a 3D printer.
But then you get into like the revenge of the nerds here, all right?
Hey, the nerds don't have to take revenge because they already won.
Yeah, they got the
so I guess what I'm saying is it's an appliance.
Hey, I'll never miss my groceries.
So, like, short story, and then we'll turn it back over to Nick or John.
Yeah.
So, my wife bought an air fryer. And I was like, why do we need an air fryer? We got an oven. It's a convection oven. I can just put it in the oven, do the same thing. So, I come over to my buddy's house, Nick. He said, hey, what are we eating tonight? It's like, I've got our frozen chicken fingers. Cool. I'm thinking like, oh my God, soggy chicken fingers. He puts them in the air fryer. I'm like, oh my God, what did you do to them? Did you deep fry them? No, I put them in the air fryer. So the point that I'm trying to make is that sold me on air fryers. We have to get to, that's a barrier.
Yeah.
We have to get from the barrier that the cost to reward.
Right.
We have to get past that barrier.
It's the try before you buy thing.
Yeah, make it applicable to whatever that you were thinking you would use it for.
This may spawn some additional conversation. Who knows? Ideas down the road.
Yeah.
Is why is there not some place out there right now that you can break those barriers to entry? That you can go to and you can try to use a 3D printer before you purchase one. Or where you can go get an idea. Is this something that I want to do? You got these places, where you can go and jump on trampolines. I remember when trampolines were reserved for the backyard for people with high insurance claims. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I fell off a couple times.
It's just, you don't tell your insurance company you got a trampoline, you're fine. It's like, don't tell me you have a dog.
Yeah.
You have a cat. So, just a really big cat. But, why can't you go to a place where it's like, I've seen them online. So they haven't been in other countries. Like, Rent-A-Printer.
Yeah.
Go in there and try it.
Well, you got a Kiko.
Yeah. So
but you got all kind of places that print.
Right.
Why are there not on demand printing places that you go?
Exactly. It's like
why does Best Buy not have these appliances in place?
Right.
So that you can try them. They got every other thing in place. Every TV.
Why are they not in stores?
Yeah.
Just over here taking notes. Don't mind me.
The only store they're in right now is the place out in Atlanta. Which one?
Micro Center. Micro Center is a good one. It's hard to get to though because there's limited locations. I love the idea because I can picture like now like I know that they did a recent remodel to a lot of Staples, and their rebranding that they wanted to kind of drive was like, we're a media center. We're not just your paper provider, or your office chair, or your office equipment. Like you're not just coming to get me the Staples here. We've got a studio in the back. You can record at our studio, and we'll handle some of that stuff. You can use our technology. Like we've got a printer center over here where you can also create the things, print the things, cut them out, and work on them. So I picture something in the back that's like, we've got the farm back here where it's closed to the employees only, and you can submit to me your print, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you an estimate, and you can come back and pick up your print here, or like an Amazon box outside the front of the door. You can pick up your print when it's ready.
It's like, the thing is, I went to for a friend's daughter's birthday party. We went to the Children's Museum here in town, actually downtown, and they actually have 3D printers there.
Yeah.
You know, that the kids can play with and see how how you print things. Right, they're all in safety enclosures and stuff like that, so safety's paramount. But they're already there. People can play with them. However, you don't have anything like that for adults. Like, I know in other countries, you do. You have like a 3D printer cafe. I think we were looking at it one day at work. They have a 3D printer cafe, in like Europe and stuff like that, but you don't have one here in the U.S. But if you remember the old computer cafes, computer labs.
They're still huge overseas. Too.
Yeah. Why can't you have a 3D printer computer lab, where once you rent that printer for the day or for however long it takes, you lock it down, and no one else can access it but you. You have a certain code for it and stuff like that.
That's a good idea.
Right. I know there's somebody out there who's probably going to steal the idea, but hey.
Or give credit.
Yep, exactly. Rental fee. But that's just one thing that could be out there that could break 95% of those barriers.
So here's the other thing is, I think a big barrier is why do we not? So we have libraries.
Yep.
We have on-demand streaming services. We have. I can go to a hardware store and have someone give me a panel and cut the panel down for me. And I have Amazon where I can buy almost anything I want to buy to imagination.
Yeah.
Why is there not 3D printing as a service?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is there not 3DAS? Why does that not exist? That is a barrier.
Yeah.
Because everything you're talking about, I don't have to have a brick and mortar.
Right.
Which is what everything's going to now, is away from brick and mortar, which is beautiful because then it could be community owned.
Yeah.
Then it could be like not just personal. Then your city hall could talk about your budget for upgrading the schools, blah blah blah, with the 3D printer, right? Or like it can be kind of pulled in, and I hate to just force it into government, but it can be then part of a department, and then that department is in charge of could be sustainability, and they're trying to reprint the parts like that they're using around and things like that. Now we kind of got on a little bit of a rabbit hole on that, but like it's a barrier. It is a barrier. It's something that honestly I don't see enough of here of the plug in, try it before you buy it.
Yeah, like a play it against sports.
Yeah,
it's like and the one thing that I'll say this, I would love to see the 3DAS stuff happen.
I like
the like a software as a service type of thing. However, with that, I think we have some bigger issues to deal with at that point. You have entire communities who don't have access to the internet, but they have access to their local libraries, their local internet cafes, and stuff like that, where they can actually go to and see that. Why not open up a 3D printer cafe in those unserviced areas that may not have internet access,
and you can,
and have a laptop there or a desktop there that they can use Tinkercad and stuff like that.
Right.
Download something and get them into rapid prototyping, because you never know that one moment that you give someone on a 3D printer, you can either find somebody who's an engineer now, or wants to get engineering, and can change the way that that their trajectory in life.
Right. And the thing is, so I don't mean that we should not do brick and mortar.
Yeah.
What I mean is with 3DAS, I can reach the world.
Right.
I can set up one general server or I can set up a set of servers that now a school district can share all this stuff on the server, and then all I have to have is what you said. I just need a PC. Or I need some device that can connect to this 3DAS. And when it connects to this 3DAS, I take the cost and reduce it to a point to where it's affordable for the whole school district.
Yeah.
Now I'm introducing the same thing that's a cell phone. 3D printing becomes the next cell phone.
Yeah. See that?
There you go. I did want to mention too. So when I went to college, there was we were trying to build an engineering club. Didn't have a degree or in a program for that, but we were trying to build a following for it because there was a lot of people that wanted to be engineers and were forced into other. I mean, I wouldn't say forced because you pay for that. So, but were pushed into other disciplines and didn't get to do engineering like they wanted to, right? Or had to go transfer to another school. But we had we set up a club. And then there was actually in Wilmington, there was a place called Makerspace, and it doesn't have 3D printers though.
Yeah.
But it was a shop for, but it's that idea. It was a workshop for someone who doesn't have a workshop or a college kid who stays in an apartment who doesn't have these tools just laying around. And we went over there because we were trying to build a BattleBot, and they were the only people that could help us.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't get the funding for the BattleBot. It was a long story, but maybe one day you might see us build one here because I still got the plans.
So it's funny that you say thing about BattleBots. That is easier than 3D printing.
You think so?
Yeah, it's mechanical.
I know so.
Oh.
Yeah, it's mechanical.
Sounds like you've been building a couple of.
I've said before, I've been doing electronics and robotics since I was 8 years old. So far as building robotic systems and stuff, it's as simple as taking the right components and putting them together. So BattleBots are Legos.
Yeah.
It's you have to make it for where you can do the communications and things. That's the hardest part, but the rest of it is you have to figure out how you want to utilize your weapons against another system.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a cookie cutter thing.
Yeah. It's like if you think about it, they used to sell the filament and stuff like that at Joann Fabrics.
Did they?
Yeah. I bought a lot of it from them.
Did you?
Bought a lot of filament from
That makes
them.
a lot of sense.
They actually sold printers at the time. They sold full-blown printers, and they also sold those 3D printer pens too that everybody has no clue for.
I'm gonna get one.
Now we're gonna have to come back to this.
I think
another episode, but we were gonna argue about this later. Later we'll move on.
It's fair.
I can see some fun stuff with it though. But it's like that's when they used to sell in those places. Now they didn't see enough freaking revenue come off of that, and they stopped carrying it. So people who need it now have to be going to Amazon.
Yeah.
Plus stuff like that. And you have these mom and pops who are getting put out of business because of Amazon. You got, and now, what was it? Amazon's trying to get rid of 3D printers now?
Yeah, they want you to buy their printer. Well, they want to develop their own printer.
Which is still,
makes sense.
Which is still fine, but what the other barrier is knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we buying 3D printers from other people?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why don't we buy the blocks? You can buy Legos individually. You can buy Legos. I want a certain color of Legos.
Yep.
I can buy a series of Legos. I want Star Wars Legos. But nonetheless, I can buy the Legos and make my own things.
So there's only very few people out there selling them by the box.
Yeah.
But they're selling the components.
Yeah.
Because I bought the components.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the barrier is we don't have enough people that are more than just hobbyists.
Educators.
More than just tinkerers. We don't have enough people that say, hey, like John said, question. Why does it have to be this way? Why does this axis have to move? Why can't I just raise this axis and use a core XY?
Right.
Yeah.
Why do I have to use this? Why do I have to use belts? Is it necessary, or is that just what everybody's been doing?
Yeah.
Cheap.
Because
That's
someone
what it is.
put lipstick on a pig, that means every pig now has to have lipstick.
Right. And if you think about it, also, it's like you start getting to that point of where we don't have enough educators out there.
Yeah.
We got people on YouTube, and on the forums and stuff like that. Some of your greatest educators are on the forums, not on YouTube. They're not wanting to. They don't show everything that's going on. Cool. Let me review it. Let me put it together and pull it back apart again. Whatever works, right? But the thing is, it's you don't have enough people who are willing to sit there and give you a master class. You have those master classes out there. I've never seen a 3D printer master class.
Yeah.
Ever. And the thing is that's right now something that people are looking at. They're looking for those things. They're looking for stuff that's going to keep them out of trouble. Especially with, if as things progress going different directions in the world, you never know what you end up with. So people, kind of need that.
Yeah, I agree, because then that kind of touches on a different type of gap there, which is of course still knowledge gap, but like that's now how am I jumping from beginner to intermediate to advanced user, and then if you want to get to a commercial standpoint, how would you get to that point? Like that's a lot of steps there, and to me, I don't think all of those people put on YouTube are doing it just for the financial proceeds, but they are getting those, and it is helping them continue those things. So so it is beneficial. But in a lot of those senses, these people, they're showing you, like Ed was saying, things that they built with 3D printing, not just 3D printing. So like it was like. I think it was crazy because we explained it in 3 different ways when we first started. Like I was thinking knowledge gap to a beginner, and you were like you had already started, Nick, and printed a few things, and Ed, you were thinking just off of like a different tangent for a beginner as far as I don't want I was like, for me it was like I don't care what I'm printing. Can I make this print right? It needs to be exactly what I'm trying, dimensionally accurate. Like those 2 words rang in my head the most. I took calipers to it. I'm like, this is supposed to be this many millimeters. Why is it off? I need to rework on this. And Nick was like, I don't know what to print now. There's so many options to print because I have the capacity. But you thought of a completely different way, and that's the thing is what needs to happen more is you're not just thinking about what I'm printing. I'm printing this so that I can make this other processor machine or something else, and that to me is that not only the tinker mindset, but that's part of the mindset that like I wouldn't have I don't see enough of. I see it on the YouTube videos. Like those guys, they see something, they see a problem, they think of a solution, and then they 3D print the parts to assist with their solution. So it becomes a tool in your tool belt as opposed to the main show. Right, and I think that ends up being that barrier to get to the advanced user is like, to me, I got a 3D printer. I'm not gonna sit there and watch it for 8 hours a day. I'm gonna print the thing, but I'm gonna show you. Hey, look at this scissor that I printed. That gets one piece. It articulates. Watch, it'll slice. It'll cut this paper here. It's not gonna cut anything more than that. But look, I made something that does something. Yeah. That to me was the step where I got from just a hobbyist into where I was going to get into a point of becoming a creator as far as building the knowledge base around what I know and how I can grow that to other people. So that mindset too, even into advanced, into, I mean, we could say educating educating everyone and giving that master class is lacking. And honestly, like, having people around that have not been with 3D printing is just as beneficial too, because how many times have you printed something, Ed? Zero. So like, but your thought process around it will inspire other people who are printing. So it's the meeting of the minds needs to happen.
So I'm gonna give you 5 principles. Just bear with me for a minute. Do I have to teach somebody how to use a microwave more than one time?
No.
And does a microwave perform the same way every time over and over? Why is a 3D printer not that way?
Yeah.
Why is it not user-friendly?
Mm-hmm.
If I have a wireless mouse and I plug it up into my computer, it loads a driver, the computer understands what the mouse is supposed to do, the mouse understands what the computer is wanting. I do it once. It understands. Mm-hmm. Why is the 3D printer not plug and play? Third thing, I get in my car, I crank up the car cranks.
Mm-hmm.
Why does the 3D printer not crank and do what it's supposed to do? The fourth thing, I can go to anybody's house, take my wireless device, and they say, hey, it's a network available. They give me some credentials to get into their system, and I'm in there. I do it one time. Why does the 3D printer not understand that concept? And the last thing, it's really simple for me. When I was growing up, there were no computers in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Why has the 3D printer not become the computer in schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it can be used. I mean,
in all classrooms,
Yeah.
except for like English, but you know.
no. You can still use it in English. See, this right here is Shakespeare.
Yeah, you could. You start printing out busts.
and then you got Puppet Show. Like, come on now, that's the story.
Yeah,
you
you
got
got
Hamlet
kindergarten.
on puppet.
Well,
yeah, you print the 3D skull so when they have their play.
To be fair,
That's
We-
art. That's art.
we
Yeah,
know
okay.
English and art does use the computer because you have to cite whatever website you use to say, I use that.
Believe me, I've learned that the hard way going through my bachelor's and master's degree.
Don't make me write another paper.
Yeah, exactly. You start dreading that. You start using that website called Son of a Citation.
It's different when I want to write the paper as opposed to when you're like, I need you to write about this topic. So
You got
now-
1,000 words, and
now it has become a
you
task.
must use APA for this.
Right? Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I'm only looking at the number the whole
Right.
time.
And then I'll give you something even simpler than all the things. The thing I'm trying to point out to anybody that's creating anything that's surrounded with the 3D printing industry, additive manufacturing, whatever it is, if you want it to be commercially viable, you have to make it to where it's as simple as setting up a Fire Stick. You have to make it as simple as connecting to a Wi-Fi network. You have to make it as simple as putting a cartridge in a damn game and playing the game.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to tinker with it, that's fine.
Yep.
But I shouldn't make a entry level person do that.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of forced from the ground up there. I mean, there's configuration files that you can pull down, and if you have a friend, you can phone a friend, and that's how I've helped my buddy is he's phoned me quite a few times, like even texting me like right now because he's printing. So I think a lot of those things are lacking. I agree, and it should be because you think about the attention span of your normal person. Like they're
Yeah.
not going to have an attention span to sit at this thing for like hours on end. It takes a special kind of person to want to make it work. So
Well, if you think about it, the now human attention span is less than that of a gnat.
yeah,
Yeah, because we multitask.
Yeah.
too much multitasking is bad.
But
yeah.
but I'm just saying, I guess from my point of view, I'm saying like, if I want to attract somebody to something, I have to make it attractive.
Yeah.
I can't just say, hey, I created this thing. I know how it works. I have to hold the antenna up here and put aluminum foil on the end, but it works. Well, it doesn't work.
Yeah, you do
If I
special-
can't, if it doesn't have repeatability, it's no good.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And that's something that I think that is going to come as technology advances, and as things get there. Who knows what we'll do with the one that we build. And we show people that, hey, it's possible for, 3 people to build a printer that is supposed to work at the end of it.
It's gonna work.
That we hope works at the end of it. If it doesn't, it's going to fail magically.
It's the confidence. It's gonna work.
I can tell you, not only is it going to work, it's going to work better than the best ender that's out there now.
Or we'll have
And
some magnificent
there-
failures.
I've just
something.
dropped the mic.
Yeah.
I am telling you.
As long as we don't end up with a RUD, I think we're okay.
I'm just telling you.
A rapid, unexpected disassembly. I think if we don't get any of those, we should be.
I know what
I
I'm
think I'd be
capable
okay to
of.
watch that. I'd watch that. Like that'd be.
No, I didn't say there will be hurdles, but I will tell you that I can
Oh, it'll dial up.
I can almost double down, double zero with all the chips on double zero. I can make a printer better than the best ender out there right now.
All right. Well, with that,
Yeah.
You know, I think I'll leave that as one of our little things for the day. But you know, with that, you know, I think we're gonna bring it to an end tonight. You know, I just want to say thank you. You know, everybody who's listening to us. You know, again, we say that every single time. You know, but again, we can't thank everybody enough that's, you know, jumping in on this thing and, you know, hanging on for the ride. You know, if you have anything you want to hear, you know, any topics you want to hear, let us know. We'd be more than happy to jump on board, take a look, you know, see what we can do. If you need any help along your 3D printing journey, let us know. Maybe we can give you a hand. So, you know, with that, you know, I'll turn it over to the guys for parting words, but, you know, thank you, and, you know, see you later.
So as always, we appreciate the support, and thank you, and we'll tune in again next week to hear us talk about topics.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Like always appreciate all the support. Everybody who's even given a listen. That's you know, it's more than what we were getting before. It's more than what I had before. So it's a good platform. Like, and for the ideas, honestly, we're spitballing all the time. So you hear something you like, you got a question about it, we didn't talk about it enough, tell us. We're always looking for something to kind of get in and do some research on. So I always also challenge you guys to do some research on anything that we talk about. And if you call us out, I'd be welcome to have a discussion about it. So, all right, guys, we appreciate everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Tech at Lunch podcast, where we hope you learned something about tech during your break or during your lunchtime. If you did, please give us a follow to prevent missing future episodes. If you have any ideas or something you want to hear or learn about, please send us a show idea to podcast@vulcanara.com. Hope you have a good rest of the day and continue learning.